May 14, 2023. Hope you have a nice day. Hope you're doing well. I've got John Cena and Jason Momoa here with me because, of course, Fast 10 comes out this weekend. How will it do? And is this no longer the first in a two-part finale, but a three-part finale? We'll get into that here in a little bit on LCJ Live. If you're watching live on YouTube Live, thank you. And you can certainly send in your questions and your comments, and I'll answer them here. Coming up in just mere moments, I will give you 10 reasons why Book Club, the next chapter, did not do well this weekend. 10 legitimate reasons why. I'll break those down in just a second. Let's start with your number one movie, which, of course, once again, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with $60.5 million. Very small drop. It made 118-ish last weekend, 60.5 this weekend. It dropped a little less than half, which is small for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially over the last few years. And Disney is happy about that. It is up to $213.2 million, less than $1 million away from passing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So look, we knew it was a little crazy that Ant-Man and the Wasp did not do nearly as well as many of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Opened to 106 million, did about 120 over the long day weekend, only totaled 214 because no one, basically no one, wanted to go see this movie a second time. I had a feeling with Guardians Volume 3, which is a much better movie than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that people might want to go see this a second time because of the impact of these characters. It's an emotional goodbye, all of that, and it's a little bit of a better movie. So it's no surprise to me that Guardians is doing much better than Ant-Man, clearly. Will it, though, get to the 340-something million of Thor: Love and Thunder, or the 380 million of Doctor Strange, or it did even better than that. The 400 million of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever did about 450 million. Will it get to those kind of numbers? Well, that's a little bit tougher to say. Yeah, Black Panther 454, Doctor Strange 412, Thor: Love and Thunder 343. We know Guardians is passing Shang-Chi, which did 225. It's already passed Black Widow, which did 184. Eternals did 165. So those are those when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe over the last couple of years. Certainly won't get to levels of some of the Avengers movies and the first Black Panther, and even maybe the last Guardians movie, which totaled 390 back in 2017. We're at 213. It's going to make a run at 3, but I at this point don't think it's going to get to much more than $300 million. The first Guardians in 2014 made 333. I still think it'll come up short of that, but maybe not by as much based on a decent second weekend. So is there still a little Marvel fatigue? Maybe, but I think Ant-Man is an outlier in this case. We had a few outliers early with Eternals not doing very well because of the pandemic and Black Widow. Shang-Chi did much better. But I think when it comes to Ant-Man, it was a case of no one needs to see this again. There's nothing in here that makes me want to come back for a second trip. Guardians Volume 3, there's a little bit that makes you want to do that. So we'll see how it does the rest of the way through. Super Mario Brothers movie number 2, $13 million. It's at 536. It's gonna make a run at 550, maybe even more, as we still don't have family film content, major new family film content, until Little Mermaid and Spider-Verse in a couple weeks. Rally Road Racers did open in theaters this weekend. We don't have the box office results on that yet, but some families went to see it, not a whole lot. But Mario with 13 million at 536. Universal is just thrilled, continues to be thrilled as they get ready for Fast 10 later this week. But Universal and Focus Features are not happy with the fact that Book Club, the next chapter, made just half of what Mario made this weekend, just $6.5 million. Now, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why Book Club, the next chapter, did not do well this weekend. Number 1, it's been 5 years since the first Book Club movie. It came out in May 2018, basically this same weekend. Lots happened in 5 years. And I think a lot of older people may not have wanted to go see this right away. They may wait for it to be on home video. They may not have been interested in a second book club. A lot has happened in 5 years. And older people, I think, still have a tendency maybe not go to the movies or not go to the movies right away, not going to everything. They're picking and choosing a little bit, which I think rolls into my next point, which is 80 for Brady. 80 for Brady came out in February, and I think that had more intrigue and interest from older people and from football fans, and there was more curiosity there. 80 for Brady opened to 12.5 million. And so I think, well, you can't exactly compare Book Club The Next Chapter to 80 for Brady apples to apples. It's a little bit different. Maybe people thought, oh, I just saw this sort of with 80 for Brady, Jane Fonda in both. I just went to see Moving On with Jane Fonda. Am I going to go to a third Jane Fonda movie in 3 months? Maybe some people had that. Book Club The Next Chapter started a genre. It started this genre of older couples, older groups of women together. Their stories deserve to be told on the big screen, absolutely. These romance stories, these comedy stories. The first book club had such an impact and such interest in this. Older women reading 50 Shades of Grey, this comedy, these ladies on the big screen for the first time. There was a lot of intrigue. There was no intrigue here, and that sort of goes into my fourth point. Not as much intrigue. You sort of know what you're in for when you're going into Book Club The Next Chapter, as opposed to last time, which was a little more unpredictable. So my next point is number 5 now. I went to a screening of it last Sunday. I was one of only five people at the screening. And the other people at the screening enjoyed it. But when I saw that I was one of only 5, I thought, gosh, this may not do so well. Which goes to my next point, number 6. Downton Abbey: A New Era from Focus Features came out last year. Was the follow-up to the first Downton Abbey, which made $97 million domestically. This Downton Abbey only did 44, and it only opened to 16 and change as opposed to 31 of the first one. So Focus Features, for the second May in a row, has a sequel that disappoints compared to the first one. Interestingly, Focus Features did not distribute the first book club. It was a Paramount movie, but Paramount didn't want another book club movie, even though they distributed 80 for Brady. So when I sort of was getting these vibes of maybe this isn't going to do as well, maybe it's going to be similar like Downton Abbey: A New Era, I was sort of getting that feeling. Now, Downton Abbey: A New Era still did 44 million. This isn't going to come close to 44 million total. 80 for Brady totaled 39. This isn't going to come close to that. The first book club opened to 13.6 million back in 2018. It totaled $68.6 million. It only did half of its money from its weekend box office grosses. The other half of its money, about $34 million, came from during the week sales. Older moviegoers going on Tuesdays, and the word of mouth on the first book club was so strong. Now, I read one piece today already from Deadline that says you can compare this to the second best exotic Marigold Hotel, which came out in 2015 and opened about 8.5 million, totaled 33, which was a good total at the time, but far from what the first best exotic Marigold Hotel did back in 2012, which was $46 million. 8.5 was significantly higher than what the first Marigold did, but the first Marigold had a slow start and a major progression and lots of legs. It started out in a handful of theaters and grew and grew and grew and grew. The second Marigold Hotel opened in 1,700 theaters with that 8.5 million out of the gate. Again, not an apples to apples comparison. My next point about why Book Club The Next Chapter didn't do well this weekend is its cinema score got a B. Interesting. Now again, the other people I was at the movie with last Sunday enjoyed it. But the average cinema score out of the gate was a B compared to the first movie, which got an A-. A B cinema score isn't terrible, but it shows that a lot of people who were surveyed did not love the movie. Which goes into my next point, that the film is just okay. It does not have the impact as a movie of the first one. It is pretty fluff. It is pretty much fluff. It's fun fluff. I enjoyed it. There are parts of it that really do not work. I had a good time. Did it blow me away as much as the first one did and make me go, wow, this is starting a genre and this is changing the game? No. No. It's memorable in spots. It's fun in spots. Not the entire way through. It's pretty predictable. It's pretty light. The movie's just okay. Next point, you had a lot of competition this weekend, as it turned out, for Mother's Day weekend, more than I think Focus Features anticipated. Grandparents and mothers with children and grandchildren went to see Mario. They may have gone to see Rally Road Racers. They probably went to see Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which has not done incredibly well, but had a small drop this weekend. It added 2.5 million to come in fifth this weekend. It's at 16.5. Last weekend it did 3.4. That's a very small drop. There were definitely some mothers and grandmothers who went to see Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret this weekend. So it had some competition there. Love Again also had a small drop this weekend from a 2.4 million open last weekend to 1/6 this weekend. Under normal circumstances, Love Again might have dropped to under $1 million. But it made 1/6. It's up to 5 million total because there was a little bit of interest there for Mother's Day, Grandma's, Celine Dion. So Book Club had some legitimate competition, more than was expected. And maybe my last point out of the 10 is that some older moviegoers will still wait a few days till the cheaper day Tuesday or a week or two down the line. I don't know though. To me, if you really wanted to see this, you were like Downton Abbey. If you really wanted to see this, you went weekend number 1. And the Downton did 16, totaled 44. That was a majority of the pie there. If you really wanted to go see this, you were going to go today. You're going today for Mother's Day, or you're going opening weekend, or you went to the Sunday screening. But that's not a lot of people. I don't anticipate a book club 3 at this point. The budget of the first book club was 14. The budget of this was 20. I still feel that's low considering the big screen talent involved. But this may not get to 20. At this point, I don't think it's getting to 20. Margaret's going to try, but probably won't get to 20, and that had a similar opening weekend, and maybe this will have similar holds for the next couple weeks, but you've got older moviegoers who are going to want to see Robert De Niro and Sebastian Maniscalco in About My Father, which opens in 2 weeks. Older moviegoers will go see Little Mermaid. Some of them will. Some older moviegoers will go see Julia Louis-Dreyfus and You Hurt My Feelings, which is out in 2 weeks. This weekend coming up, Fast 10 is your major draw, with Master Gardener as going to make a little bit of money for theaters. So maybe book club can maybe make a run at 5 million next weekend, depending on if everybody went or they didn't. But this is significantly lower than anticipated, significantly lower than the first one, a major disappointment. And I'm surprised. But off of these 10 reasons, it makes sense. Evil Dead Rise, 3.7 million. It has crossed the 60 million mark for Warner Brothers. It is now the highest grossing Warner Brothers movie of the year domestically. It passed Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which, if you had told me that months ago, I would have said no, that's not going to happen, but it has happened. Heading into a summer that is going to allow Warner Brothers to bounce back to levels that it finally wants to have this year. The Flash opens June 16. Then you've got Barbie on July 21, Meg 2 with Jason Statham August 4, Blue Beetle August 18, and The Nun 2 comes out just a few days after Labor Day in early September. I think all 5 of those movies are going to make more money than Evil Dead Rise. I think, unless the Meg 2 is terrible and nobody goes compared to the first one. Barbie absolutely makes more than 60 million. So does Blue Beetle, I think. Absolutely The Flash. Yeah, that's the Warner Brothers lineup coming up. So, and The Nun 2, I think will make more than 60 million total. So, Evil Dead Rise is the champ for now, but it could be out of the Warner Brothers top 5 for the year by early September. Hypnotic with Ben Affleck made 2.3 million this weekend. It's a terrible film. It's a bad movie. It's Robert Rodriguez trying to be Christopher Nolan with Inception, and nobody cared enough to go see it this weekend at 2.3 million. John Wick Chapter 4, 1.9, it's at 182.8. Air with 875,000, it's at 51.7. And Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves with 740,000, it's at a little over 92. Other new movies that opened this weekend included Fool's Paradise with Charlie Day. It's a fun movie, especially the first hour. Last half hour, it kind of falls apart a little. Charlie Day is very good. Writing, directing, it's a comedy about Hollywood and the absurdities of it all. The late Ray Liotta, Edie Falco, Ken Jeong, Adrian Brody is hilarious in moments. It's a very good cast. It's a fun film about movies. Is it the best ever made? No, but it's fun. escapism. It's more sufficient escapism by a little bit than Book Club: The Next Chapter. Fool's Paradise is in theaters. Also in theaters, Blackberry. Love this movie. I talked with Jay Baruchel and Glenn Howerton. If you want that LCJ Q&A podcast episode, go to lcj.podbean.com. Blackberry made a little less than $500,000 this weekend for IFC in about 500 theaters, and that's $1,000 per screen average, which is better than the per screen average, I think, of Knights of the Zodiac from Sony, which made $535,000 this weekend. But I believe that was in more theaters. So Blackberry, go see it. Go see it. The performances are great. Glenn Howerton is outstanding. Jay Baruchel is fantastic as well. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania adds a little more to its total, close to $500,000, as it's still paired with Guardians at drive-ins around the country. So, Fast 10 comes out this week. I think it's going to do more than $70 million, which is what F9 opened to 2 years ago in June of 21. Now, look at what Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez said the other day. They are going to turn this 2-part finale into a 3-part finale. Universal loves Fast 10 so much that they want another movie, and it sort of makes sense. Ending on 11 always felt a little odd to me. It's an odd number, but you look at this franchise, and it has been basically broken up into 3s. You had the first 3, you had the reboot 4 through 6, you had the game-changing 7 through 9 in various ways, and you have this final act. And it makes sense to me that they will now probably go 10, 11, 12. Yes, Hobbs and Shaw was also in the middle there, but that's a spin-off and a one and done, I think, at this point for that saga. I believe Fast 10 will do at least 80, if not close to 90. I don't know if it'll get to 100. It depends on how many people want to go right away. But I think it'll do more than 70. If it doesn't, Universal will be disappointed. Master Gardener is out. It's Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver. I'm going to share my thoughts on it later this week. That's in some theaters. It'll make maybe it'll make $1 million or $2 million bucks, sort of like The Card Counter did a couple years ago for director and writer Paul Schrader. Stay Awake also opens in select theaters, a drama with Chrissy Metz. I have seen it. I will have my review of it tomorrow. Also, new on Hulu this week is the new White Men Can't Jump. I'm not allowed to share my full review until later this week, but I have watched it. It's the new White Men Can't Jump. All I will say is this. When it comes to this 20th Century Studios movie and Boston Strangler from earlier this year, which was outstanding, and a lot of people said this about Prey, which 20th Century put on Hulu last August. Why in the world did these movies not go to theaters? And that's all I'll say for now. And new this Saturday night on HBO is Love to Love You, Donna Summer, a new documentary on Donna Summer. That's pretty good. I'll have more of my thoughts later this week. It's a good documentary. We've had a lot of documentaries lately, from Karen Carpenter earlier this year to the Michael J. Fox one, which is on Apple TV Plus now, which I like. And we're having the new Mary Tyler Moore documentary, Being Mary Tyler Moore, on HBO May 26th. I'm going to be screening that this week, and I'll have my thoughts on that soon. I like still a little more than Donna Summer, but they're both good documentaries. Finally, some thoughts on what's going on with the writer's strike. It's certainly changing the television world and has already canceled the Tony Awards for a CBS telecast on June 11th, which is a Sunday. The networks have been announcing their fall schedules. We've had the fall schedules from CBS and NBC so far. Fox and ABC and the CW, probably. But Fox and ABC are expected to make their announcements early this week, coming up, of what they want on the fall schedule. Whether it fully comes true or not, we'll have to see. This writer's strike could go on a long time, and so we could see networks changing their plans soon and adjusting to what they want their fall schedules to be like. We will see. For all of my reviews and analysis and reviews and interviews and views, all of it, go to lights-camera-jackson.com. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. That's at LCJ Reviews, and Instagram at LightsCamJackson. Thank you for being here on this special Mother's Day episode of LCJ Live. When we're back here next time for LCJ Live, and it may be a different day, so I'll let you know. We'll see how Fast 10 is doing, and we will preview The Little Mermaid box office. We'll see how that does. There's also a Gerard Butler movie on the way called Kandahar, and some more new releases for Memorial Day weekend. So we'll see how Fast 10 is doing and preview the Memorial Day weekend box office. Thank you for watching LCJ Live. Happy Mother's Day. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.